What's up, guys? This is Amplified Q&A, my favorite video of the week. You guys know this. Coming out a little bit late on a Thursday evening, so a lot of you guys might be watching on Friday morning, possibly. If that is the case, be on the lookout for another bonus video early Friday morning. So for some of you, that's today, that's this morning. And for those of you that are catching this video right when it's put out on Thursday night, tomorrow morning there'll be another little bonus Q&A. A question I'm always asked. It's more of a fun video, a little more lighthearted. Be on the lookout for it. As always, this video is to give back to you guys. If you guys have questions for the Amplified Man, you send them over to me and I try to answer as many as I can. I can't get to all of them, but I try to get to as many as I can. And it's a way to say thank you to all you guys. Thank you for tuning in to my videos whenever you can. Thank you to that real Amplified unit that tunes into every single one of my videos. Thank you to that real Amplified unit that smashes that subscribe button and doesn't just click BC Amplified, type in BC Amplified every single morning. No, you subscribe and you hit that notification fucking system that they got where they notify you every time I put out a video. You are the real and tried and true Amplified unit. The ones that smash that like button, that share these videos. You guys are the reason the Amplified Man is kicking ass. Day by day, week by week, month by month, we keep growing, and it ain't just the Amplified Man, it's the Amplified unit. When we come together, there ain't nothing more badass. This is my way to give back to you guys. I put together a good collection of questions, guys. Again, can't get to all of them, but I'm going to get to most. I want to kick it off with this week's monologue that we like to start off these Q&As with, a little bit longer of an answer to a question, right? A little bit longer of a certain subject. We usually like to spend 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes. Shit, I've done 30 minutes on people like Sasha Banks and AJ Lee. This shouldn't go that long, but it's about NXT. And what really set this question off in motion was Jordan over on Twitter. And he puts, "Hey BC, there's been reporting that WWE could be planning an epic long-term NXT invasion storyline. Your thoughts?" Well, Jordan, that is absolutely true. WWE has been planning something like that, and it is for Survivor Series. This is going to be big because it's going to be females and the male talent from NXT. Their current plan is to try to get the WWE's 4 horsewomen, which is Sasha Banks and Bayley, which is not going to be hard because they're already best buddies in the Lesbo connection that they're in, whatever the fuck they're called. And then on the flip side, you have Becky and Charlotte. That's going to be a little bit more complicated. However, maybe not so much anymore. At first, it looked like it was an official heel turn, Becky Lynch on Charlotte. But now, after last Tuesday, and what we're hearing in the direction that WWE is now going to go with Becky, is that she will not be full throttle heel. It's just going to be basically what Bayley and Sasha was. 2 best friends that are bickering and fighting against each other. We just saw that with Sasha and Bayley, and they're back together. It looks like they're going to go that way right now with Charlotte and Becky. I told you guys, if Becky was going to get all those cheers, Vince would not go full throttle. I think that was the final nail in the coffin, and Vince is like, fuck it, we'll just have them do a little spit spat with each other through Hell in a Cell, maybe even fucking Evolution. Who knows? And then they come back together just like Sasha and Bayley. The 4 horsewomen somehow will be taking on the 4 horsewomen. 3 of them down in NXT will team up back with Ronda Rousey. Obviously, Shayna Baszler's down there as the former champion down in NXT. But the other 2 of those 4 horsewomen that were Ronda Rousey's clique, they are also training down there in NXT. So they will come up with Shayna Baszler. They will form a unit with Ronda Rousey, and they will take on WWE's 4 horsewomen. On the flip side, for the men, this goes into another question, guys. This is another question that Hub City sent out, and this kind of goes hand in hand with the invasion of NXT going into Survivor Series. Hub City asks, "Hey BC, I hope this makes Q&A. Would like a 2-man would like a two-man power trip team like Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin was in 2001? If so, who would be those two superstars that you would choose? And if you brought back Kurt Angle for his first opponent when he comes back from vacation, who would it be? Thank you much, love and respect, and keep these quality videos coming out on a week-to-week basis. Thank you, Hub City. Right back at you with the love and respect. Now, as far as this two-man power trip, obviously, Baron Corbin and Triple H would be a badass two-man power trip. Because Baron Corbin's got all the power now. If Triple H comes back and basically anoints him even more power, and Triple H is his only more powerful entity above him, and he's giving Corbin all this power, and Triple H has all this power, and they're both running Raw, that's a power trip. And more importantly, I'm loving this new Baron Corbin character with all this power and how he's bending the rules to suit him. I love it. If he's now teaming up with Triple H and they are literally running Raw and none of the faces can get the time of day, he's basically, it's a fucking schmaz fest. Everybody knows this is bogus, but nobody can do anything about it. They are the authority. But all of a sudden, this leads into the NXT invasion. Kurt Angle comes back, and this is the second part of your question, Hub City. Who would I have as his first opponent when he comes back from this vacation angle? Kurt Angle wants his job back, but now that Triple H is in the picture and has anointed Baron Corbin all of this power, he says, sorry, Kurt, I know we promised you your job back, but not yet. Go on another vacay, come back in a month or two. We're not quite there with you yet. And Angle's like, no, I've had enough of this shit. I want back in. Stephanie McMahon shows up. Basically says the same thing Triple H and Corbin told Angle. Kurt, we hear you. Leave. It's best for you. It's best for us. It's best for business if you just take off. Again, we're not taking your job. Or maybe they can say we're taking your fucking job. But leave. You're not welcome back at this time. Vince McMahon can even chime in after Stephanie. Every single person in power for WWE will not let Kurt come back, but Kurt has had enough. So when Kurt finally comes back a week or two later on Raw, after everybody has told him no, he's coming back with NXT Superstars. Why do I say this, guys? Because that's the latest rumors anyway. This whole invasion that we're hearing for NXT for Survivor Series, if this does happen, the women will have the WWE horsewomen versus the NXT horsewomen, even though Ronda Rousey is on the main roster. But Shayna Baszler and the other two are already training in NXT. So that's going to be a mini NXT invasion with Baszler in the game. Would they dare have Ronda Rousey as the outsider? Would Baszler be running her own new team from NXT? And maybe Ronda Rousey is the target, and she teams up with the WWE Four Horsemen. Does Shayna Baszler bring her two compadres with her and maybe one other female? Well, that'd be two other female, actually. It'd be a 5-on-5 at that point. So many ways you could go with this. But that looks like to be where they're going with the women. And for the men, guys, it does look like it's going to be Baron Corbin in a team of 4 others, so 5 in all, versus Kurt Angle in his NXT proteges. His fucking young class that he's bringing up. Who would it be? We don't know. Could you have Johnny Wrestling come up? Johnny Gargano? Maybe the Velveteen Dream. It doesn't matter if you're a heel or a face. We've seen this before at Survivor Series. You just need to be a team versus a team. The main roster has shunned, or at least Raw has shunned, Kurt Angle. Now he shows up with NXT superstars. And the whole stipulation here is if Kurt Angle and his team of NXT Invasion superstars defeat Corbin and his main roster superstars, Kurt Angle gets his job back. If Angle's team loses, Angle is out of that main roster. Definitely Raw, and maybe even the whole main roster. That would be the stipulation, I would think, if they decided to do what we're hearing they're going to do, and that's Baron Corbin and his stable versus Kurt Angle in an NXT invasion of sorts that Kurt Angle has brought in. Again, who would it be? Gargano? Velveteen Dream? Aleister Black? I'm guessing he would be ready to go by November. Maybe not. But it makes you think. Who could it fucking be? I doubt Tommaso Ciampa, right? Would they put him in there? Imagine that team, Tommaso Ciampa with Johnny Wrestling, Velveteen Dream, Kurt Angle, fucking Lars Sullivan. Who the fuck knows? Endless possibilities. But I kind of mixed two questions together there. Jordan over on Twitter, Hub City over on YouTube, because they both have relevance to the main topic of this week's Q&A, and that is the invasion of NXT, because it's gonna happen. All signs are pointing that there's going to be some type of invasion. It doesn't look like it's gonna be the old Nexus invasion, where this young group of talent just comes in unannounced with no direction. But it was fun. I used to love that Nexus shit, because it was chaotic. You didn't know what their reasoning was until they just said, you know what, we're the young hotshots in this business. But what we're hearing now is it's going to be much more of a direction invasion. In other words, Kurt Angle is actually going to bring these superstars up, team up with them in that Survivor Series. There's going to be an epic stipulation on the line. This is Kurt Angle's job on the line. And it's going to be the NXT superstars that are going to help save Kurt Angle and the WWE. At least definitely Monday Night Raw, because it has gotten overtaken by a power-hungry authority. From Baron Corbin to Triple H to Stephanie McMahon to even Vince McMahon. The power-hungry suits and ties have overtaken not just Raw, but at that point even fucking WWE as a whole. You can make it. Maybe Stephanie's over there on SmackDown doing the same things that Triple H and Baron Corbin are doing on Raw. Maybe WWE has completely gotten overtaken. And in that case, maybe NXT invades Raw and SmackDown. Maybe Kurt Angle has a team over there. Maybe Paige puts together an NXT team over on SmackDown. And maybe at Survivor Series, you have 2 men's matches that involve 5 different superstars from NXT on each match. 5 NXT superstars in one match, 5 NXT superstars in the SmackDown match. And the women still in another match. Again, Shayna Baszler and her crew. Is that with Ronda Rousey? Is that against Ronda Rousey? Does Ronda Rousey team up with the 4 horsemen from WWE's main roster? Who the fuck knows? Or do you just have the 4 horsemen from WWE's main roster? You gotta get Becky and Charlotte back on the same page, and they take on the original 4 horsewomen from what we call the UFC 4 horsewomen. Hopefully that's not too much info to take in, guys. Hopefully I didn't confuse the fuck out of you. But there is right now serious discussions about bringing in NXT into the WWE's main roster in an invasion angle. And it's going to culminate at Survivor Series. Do those superstars from NXT stay on the main roster after Survivor Series? Or do they all go back down to NXT? Remains to be seen. That would be a shame if you bring them all up. You basically surround Survivor Series. You make Survivor Series all about NXT, really. And then all of a sudden, the next night, they're all back in NXT. I don't know about that. I say you bring up at least 6 or 7 superstars if you're going to do something like that. Leave 6 to 7 at least up on the main roster. But that's a huge deal, guys. That's a big story that's breaking. Again, just rumors, but I don't just discuss rumors if it's just straight rumor, unless there's actual serious discussions or talk or facts behind it. And everything I'm hearing is that there is a very real possibility that this invasion angle happens within the next couple of months, culminating at Survivor Series. If that's the case, the blood will be fucking pulsating through my bod, because that's badass. The goosebumps will be fucking busted out, because that's badass. Bring in the NXT invasion. We've been waiting for that for a couple of years now, right? I think now's the time to pull the trigger. When business is kind of up and down, at least for the diehard fans, this will really spike that interest and intrigue to the likes that no other storyline can, at least for 2018. I'll shut up about it now, but that is fucking huge. Again, hopefully that happens, but that is the big story going around, an NXT invasion. Bring it on, Vince. Now's the time. So that's just like the main story going into this weekend, man. Something that's really gaining traction. Again, long time to go before Survivor Series. WWE's focus is still obviously on Hell in a Cell. They have Evolution. They have the big fucking fight in somewhere, Argentina, Kuwait, fucking the Pacific Ocean, wherever the fuck they're going with this big network special event pay-per-view. They got all these events before Survivor Series. Things can always change, but that's where they're going, guys. You're going to see a huge presence at the end of the year from the NXT superstars. It'll be interesting and fun to see how they use them. On to the rest of the questions. Let's get right into it. Derek, ABC for Amplified Q&A. Who has been the biggest flop in WWE? In my opinion, it would be the Revival. What is yours? Much love and respect. I'm guessing you mean recently, Derek, the biggest flop within maybe the last few years, or maybe you mean the biggest flop from NXT. I don't know. I mean, if that's the case, you can go to so many people. No Way Jose, Adam Rose. But let's just play your tag team game for a second. You say Revival. I'm with you on that to a point. It's not necessarily the Revival's fault. I mean, they never were really truly over in NXT, and here they are brought to the main roster with the same exact gimmick. The problem is, if you weren't fully over in NXT with that gimmick, you sure as hell aren't getting over on the main roster. The casual fan in that main roster audience that doesn't tune in all the time, and they tune in and they just see two dudes in their trunks talking about old school wrestling, that's probably not going to intrigue them. They probably don't need flips and dives, but bragging about just old school and not having any real charisma or chutzpah behind you, that's not going to do the Revival any favors. I'm hard on the Revival, but I promise you, it's not me throwing shade on them. I just know they're not going to get over with this audience and these characters. It's just not going to happen. They don't really have any spark or charisma. But I can do you one better, Derek. Who's the biggest flop? Let's stick with tag teams, and I'll say the Ascension. And this past Monday, unbeknownst to me, they're still on the fucking roster. They come out of nowhere. I could have sworn the big goofy guy was working the overnight stock team at Costco, and the smaller, scrawny, creepy guy, I could have sworn he was serving me my ice cream in the little ice cream truck just a month ago. Connor and Victor, the Ascension. You talk about a flop. If you look up flop in the dictionary, I'm pretty sure you'd have Connor and Victor as the Ascension as the pitcher. That's the Ascension. The flops of WWE is Connor and Victor. The flopscension. More like the descension. The descension of Connor and Victor, man. There is nothing worse than that fucking team. They lack everything. Charisma, chutzpah, fucking their skills in the ring aren't even special, so what are we keeping them around for? I don't have a fucking clue. Do they have family members that are suits and ties? High ups in the business? Because somebody tell me why Connor and Victor, the Ascension, are on the roster. Somebody, anybody, give me a good reason. I want a good one. If you're gonna hit the keyboard, you give me a good one. Don't just give me BC. They're actually a decent team. Look at their work in NXT. They were the longest reigning NXT Tag Team Champions. Yeah, don't even go there, because that'll go and prove my point about little fishes in a big pond and big fishes in a small pond. Two different worlds, aren't they? It's amazing how a team with nothing to offer can be tag team champions down in NXT and longest reigning tag team champions, but over on the main roster, they're complete jokes. Now, you can talk about the booking all you want and the booking killing superstars and burying superstars. You be correct. I'm with you. But not the Ascension. The Ascension buried themselves when they showed up with zero talent and zero charisma. You ain't gotta like it, but it's the truth, and you damn well know it. Anyway, Derek, that's my biggest flops. I don't know if you were talking NXT or just in the recent several years, but the Ascension, it's the flopscension for me. Let's go over to Keir Johnson. Keir's been with me for a while. I don't know if from day one, but if not day one, Keir's been on this channel around day one. Am I right, Keir? You can fucking, you know better than I do, but you've been with me for a while, so Glad I can answer another one of your questions. BC, do you think WWE relies on part-timers and legends as much as people think they do? I personally don't think they do. But I would like to know your thoughts, and thanks for answering my last few questions. Kier, anytime. Thank you for being with the channel for as long as you have, and hopefully you continue on with the Amplified Man. As far as do I think people think that WWE brings in part-timers and legends too much? Maybe part-timers and legends get too much camera time? I don't understand any of that logic that you would think any of it's too much. Anybody that thinks that way, not you, Kier. Because I'm with you. Kier Johnson, I don't think it's a fucking problem at all. Anytime you want a part-timer to come back, a little bit of a nostalgia feel, if they still got more in the tank that they need to let out, bring them in. I would love to see it. If Hulk Hogan can only throw a fucking big boot and throw someone out in a body slam, let's fucking rock it. Can he hit somebody in the head with a steel chair? Let's fucking rock it. Can Brock Lesnar come out and actually have a Brock Lesnar fucking match? If Brock actually wrestles, if Brock actually makes his dates and comes out and gets himself in front of the camera, I'm okay with that. If Goldberg wants to come back, bring him fucking back if he wants to throw some spears and jackhammers. You know, I'm always down for legends in this business and part-time. If Shawn Michaels ever says, I want to come back for a match, come back! Build up an angle, build up a storyline, take as much time as you want on Monday Night Raw, show up to SmackDown, to have a 45-minute match on a paper. I don't give a fuck if you're taking a spot from a younger guy. The legends and the part-timers paid the way for these young superstars, and they still bring in the money. They still bring that good time feeling within all of us, that nostalgic feeling, and I fucking love it. If you don't, anyone out there, that's fine, that's your prerogative. Then you would fight against that fight, I guess. You would go against that. You don't like that. You would bitch. You would complain. I understand. I happen to love the part-timers. I happen to love the fucking legends. So when they come back, it's nostalgia for me, and it's always fun. Again, I fucking criticized SmackDown this week for not being as good as it should have been with so many major announcements. But the one bright part of SmackDown this week was Booker T returning and having a fun segment with the New Day. Something little like that. Legends and part-timers, which is just old school WWE talent. I love seeing that, man. You can bring back the Disco fucking Inferno. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and I'll be flipping out. I love that shit. So I'm with you, Kier. I don't see a problem with it at all, but I know there's a big part of the audience out there that doesn't like part-timers, don't like legends coming up. They think they're stealing the time and match time and places on the card for the younger talent. But the bottom line is it's still a business, and you still got to make that money. Those stars still make money. If the NWO showed up tomorrow, Kevin Nash could barely fucking walk. Scott Hall has a pacemaker in his fucking chest. Hulk Hogan is with Kevin Nash. He probably fucking has every other fucking ailment you can think of. But we're still gonna be on our feet cheering like there's no fucking tomorrow because it's the NWO. That nostalgia feeling that's still gonna bring in that cash. It's a business, and we love seeing the old-time superstars. Where do you guys want to go? Over to, by the way, yeah, fuck it, let's just keep going here. Kara, Amp Q&A. What moment do you think changed pro wrestling altogether, BC? In my personal opinion, it was the NWO and the Women's Revolution. I agree with you, Kara. Not necessarily the Women's Revolution. That was still a huge moment, because look where we are today from that. Women are getting more time than ever before inside that squared circle, at least for the WWE main roster, and I know all around the world. But I would say the NWO formation, nothing will ever top that. I don't think anything can ever top that. Even Vince McMahon buying WCW, as huge as that was, WCW was already kind of dying a slow death at that point. But when Hulk Hogan turned heel, that rocked professional wrestling's world upside down. And then all of a sudden, he joins forces with Hall and Nash. And if the world wasn't knocked upside down at that point, it was by the end of that formation. And then come to find out what the NWO even was, which was the baddest faction ever to be created in pro wrestling. The NWO rocked the pro wrestling world to its core. And to this day, it's never actually recovered. I don't think anything can ever top that. 25 Derek. Hey BC, great vid as usual on this week's SmackDown review reaction. Thank you, 25 Derek. For Q&A, is there any way to revive Bray Wyatt and his character, or have so many different approaches, pushes, and angles been tried for him that have failed that he is now so worn out he is doomed to mid-card obscurity from here on out? Much love and respect from Canada. Thank you. Much love and respect right back to you and all of Canada. I've noticed a lot of my new subscribers lately. A lot of people are coming from Canada, so that's really awesome. Hopefully when we really blow up, I'll be seeing a lot of Canada. As far as Bray Wyatt, is this the end of him? Can he be brought back to life? Absolutely he could. You just have to bring him back as the dominant character that he was at the beginning. Bray Wyatt, for a big dude, we got to remember, he can go in the ring. He's got great skills. But on top of that, even better than his wrestling ability and skills is his character. He's got one of the best characters in all of wrestling. That character should never have gone stale. You bring him back to that mystical shit, that breathtaking shit where you know this is some freaky, creepy shit that we're viewing, but we can't turn away. Even bring in Sister Abigail. Nikki fucking Cross, ring a bell? She was brought up to the main roster, and then we never fucking saw her. By the way, that brings me into another question that kind of jives right with that question, and that's Scott over on YouTube. BC, I got a question for Q&A. What's the deal with Nikki Cross? She was on the main roster during the announcement, and she's been performing in house shows where... I fucked that question up, I believe, man. I think I mingled that between two other questions. But Scott's wondering where Nikki Cross is. I'm sorry to botch that. Scott, I'm going to get to your question with 25 Derek. Yes, you can reignite Bray Wyatt. And Scott, as far as where Nikki Cross is, she's still with WWE. She's not injured. She is doing the house shows. Like you said, the announcement, I think that was actually it was the women's pay-per-view announcement is what Scott is talking about. And Nikki Cross was in the front row. And we're like, why the fuck? That's how you debut Nikki Cross? And then she was gone. She's been doing house shows on SmackDown's roster, and she's still in NXT. She's still doing NXT matches. So, there you go. Nikki Cross comes up as Sister Abigail. Two birds with one stone. You bring up Nikki Cross in the best way possible, with this awesome fucking unition with Bray Wyatt, not just as a valet or a manager, no, as a badass female wrestler who is just intertwined with Bray Wyatt. And at the same time, you reignite Bray Wyatt's career by making him that creepy, freaky motherfucker that we fell in love with when he first got to the roster. And now he's got Sister Abigail, his fucking power. The thing that brings out the most power out of him. Just like the urn with The Undertaker, when Paul Bearer would hold up that urn, The Undertaker drew all this fucking power. It was like Popeye eating his spinach. I don't care how many times we've seen Sister Abigail burn to the ground. It is a mythical character. She can be brought back to life, just like Bray Wyatt can be, from obscurity. Nadine. Hey BC, much respect to you. I have a question for Q&A. What are your thoughts on the Bellas back in action in the feud between Brie and Daniel and The Miz and Maurice? Brie, Daniel Bryan, The Miz and Maurice, and thank you so much. Have a good day. Well, thank you, Nadine. Hopefully you're having a great fucking day as well. As far as the Bellas back in action, well, listen, here's the deal. Great, I guess. There's a big fan base for the Bellas. The bottom line is they were never exceptional in the ring. They came a long way from being just valets and fucking managers in this business or just a pretty face. And they went and they trained their asses off and they got pretty damn good. Nikki Bella was a Divas champion and a pretty damn decent one at that. Nikki Bella actually had good matches too. So I'm proud of them. But they were never anything exceptional. So to say that Nikki Bella deserves a match against Ronda Rousey on one of the biggest stages, the first ever pay-per-view, I don't know about that as a diehard pro wrestling fan. but I can see what WWE is doing, especially putting Brie in there with a high-profile match at Hell in a Cell in a mixed tag match with her husband Daniel Bryan against Maurice and The Miz. Listen, the Bellas are a draw. They have created a huge fan base. They went from just pretty faces to actual legit wrestlers and at times pretty badass. So the bottom line is WWE is going where the money is. If you can put Nikki Bella in a match with Ronda Rousey, that's going to be money for Vince. For the diehard wrestling fan, it doesn't sound like a good match. I understand. I'm with you. But for the casual fan and the mainstream audience that Vince is going for on this event, first ever women's pay-per-view ever, this is mostly for the casual and the mainstream audience, guys. You know, that fucking, not the diehards like us. Not the smart fans or the smarts like us. No, this is for the casuals, for that mainstream. You know, where Nikki Bella is always on the Today Show because she split up with John Cena for the 614th time. That's mainstream press. And Vince is going to take Nikki Bella, with all the press that she's been getting from breaking up with John Cena for 614 times, he's going to put her in there with Ronda Rousey, who's obviously a mainstream box office draw, and there's a big match for Vince. So, and for her, meaning Nikki Bella. So, as much as we don't like, diehard fans might not like them in big matches like that, that's why it's being done. They still bring in huge money for Vince McMahon, and Vince knows that, and he's going to put them in those big matches. I think Ronda Rousey should be in a much, much, much more different match than Nikki Bella, but it is what it is, man. You have a girl from Total Divas and Total Bellas taking on Ronda Rousey, one of the baddest females in the world ever. It just doesn't make sense, but it does make sense, if you know what I mean, business-wise. So that's what I think about the Bellas. I mean, I was never a huge fan, but I can totally see why they are a draw and why Vince keeps giving them anything they want. Where the fuck you want to go from there? Juliana, hey BC, hopefully this makes Q&A. Is BC your shortened name or your real name? If so, what does it stand for? If not, that's cool too. You're the best wrestling YouTuber, BC. Check you later. Thank you, Juliana. BC is fucking... I'm not going to pull like a CM Punk. You know, CM Punk never wanted to tell people what it meant. People just thought it was either Chick Magnet or whatever. There was like 10 different names for CM. BC is just my initials, guys, but it is also just what I go by. Since I was a little tiny BC, I only go by BC. So that's my name. To answer your question, I only know BC. That's what I go by. A lot of people thought BC was like the Banks Club, like Sasha Banks Club. Some people know that I love the Breakfast Club movie, so they thought BC was Breakfast Club. But it's my initials, but it's actually my name now. I mean, that's all I've ever gone by since I was like 2 months old. So at this point, you could call me fucking Brian, Braden, Bryce, Britton, fucking... who the fuck knows, man? Fucking anything to start with a fucking B and a C, but at the end of the day, BC is just what I go by. That's so literally, if my family or my close friends were gonna call me anything but BC, I wouldn't turn around. I wouldn't look. I only go by BC. That's literally just my name. Doesn't have to stand for anything anymore. It's just BC's my name. So, yeah. For anyone wondering, BC's just my name. Frank! Yo, BC, much love, my dude, for Q&A. Do you think if Becky started jumping all the females, Brie, Lana, just all of them, could that get her booze? It would have to be more than that, Frank. She would honestly have to insult the audience every time she's out there. Like Elias. He'll do the walk with Elias. He'll get the fans cheering for him, and then at the very end, he kind of insults them. But that's not doing much. That's still going to make him wildly popular. And then at the very end, he'll get some fucking boos, so the person coming out to beat him up gets more cheers. But at the end of the day, every time Elias shows up, he's going to get initial cheers. If Becky, from the moment she starts talking on the mic, just starts insulting and even bullying the audience, that'll draw her heels. It's the only way. Because at this point, they booked Becky Lynch so poorly with this heel turn They booked her as a complete underdog, but people love underdogs. She wasn't going to get booed. Add on top of that people generally just like Becky Lynch, so she wasn't going to get booed. And now here we are, guys. It looks like Vince is not going to go full throttle because she is getting the cheers. So now we're just going to see a little best friend battle between Charlotte and Becky, and then Becky is right back where she started, which eventually will lead her back into obscurity. So Frank, it's going to take more than just jumping females. She's going to have to jump the audience verbally. Hevan, hey BC, this is a Q&A question. I feel that the WWE Women's Revolution is bullshit because the divas are the ones running the revolution. The female wrestlers are being used to make the chosen ones, like the blondes and the divas, look like the deserving ones when they're not. What is your take on this theory? You're right. You're absolutely right. The ones that can wrestle don't look like they're getting, aside from Charlotte Flair, doesn't look like they're really getting the opportunity to really shine. But on the flip side, if you look at the heels, who do you really have? Carmella and Alexa Bliss are some of your best heels. I'm not saying they're some of the best workers, but if you think about heels in WWE for the females, who do the fans really just not like? Who can the fans not stand at all? Who do they boo vigorously? Who do they not want to see in there? It's Carmella and it's Alexa Bliss. So if you're trying to draw real fucking heat, I guess Vince is looking at it like, hey, those are the ones to do it. It looks like the diehard fan base hates the divas, hates the blondes. Let's put them in there. And, I mean, it works because when you take Alexa out of it, who is now your top heel over on the Raw division? If you take out Alexa Bliss, who is it? It ain't the fucking Riot Squad. They're dancing around in obscurity with Sasha and Bayley right now. It ain't Nia Jax. She's fucking lost somewhere in the world. They don't have a top fucking heel. Alexa Bliss is it. Sasha should have been Raw's top heel a year ago. You know, over on SmackDown, who's their top heel when you take Carmella out? It was supposed to be Becky Lynch, but she's getting cheered like a face. Charlotte should have been their top heel. Everything is ass backwards. I tell you that much, man. Unfucking real. Avante, over on YouTube. Hey BC for Q&A. Is it just me or do the Bellas act too fake on TV? Like their voice changes and it's just weird. But what do you think of them? I actually agree with you, Avante. It's what I call voice fry. It's the same thing with the Kardashians. I'm not throwing any shade to the Bellas, but when you hear them talk, a lot of time it's on Total Bellas too, or Total Divas, or it's always on the microphone in WWE. They kind of go into the Kardashian voice, which is this like whiny, fucking coy, I don't really know, I'm unsure type voice, you know? Like, I don't know what to have for lunch. What do we do, guys? I don't even know anymore. Should we hit the pool? I mean, we've already been there. Maybe we can, I don't know, do something else, bitch. Oh my god, you're wearing the same thing I am. Stop it. Bree, go up and change right now. John can't see me in this. It's like this really fucking dragged out shit, man. I can't stand it. I can't stand it with the Kardashians. I can't stand it with the Bellas. I call it voice fry. And yes, Avante, it comes out really phony and fake as fuck. And I know, in real life, Bree and Nikki are actually good people, man. They're a good couple of kids. But man, that voice fry, I could do without that shit for sure. Where do you guys want to go? Let's go to Christopher. BC, have you ever noticed that babyface Charlotte just doesn't work? From the moment they called her up in 2015, anytime she's been placed as a face, it's crickets or boos. When they initially got there, they built it around Charlotte, but everyone wanted Sasha, and it's the same with Becky now. People are tired of Charlotte. People respect her, but it's tiring. I'm at the point where I honestly wanted Carmella to win it back. Charlotte is boring as shit as a face. Wow. Tell me how you really feel, Christopher. I definitely with you, and I hear you as far as the disconnect. There is definitely a disconnect between Charlotte and the WWE universe. There's no doubt. It's tough because on the flip side, I really don't know who's better than her. I mean, Sasha Banks, I feel, is the only one on the roster that has it all, the total package. In Sasha's league would be Ember Moon and Charlotte, and Naomi is almost the full package. There's not too many outside of that. And I love Kairi Sane. You guys know I love Ivelisse, who's down in Lucha Underground. There's a lot of superstars spread out outside of WWE that I love. But the bottom line is Charlotte is just one of, if not the best, man, when it comes to her skills in the ring. How fast she learned this business. She was just a natural, and then you look at how good she is. She didn't just learn the business in the last 5 to 10 years. It looks like she was in this business for 50 years. And then you look at how good she is on the microphone as a heel. I agree with you. As a face, crickets. She should have been a heel all along. But you're right, there's a disconnect. Even though she's so good in the ring. Even though she has the look. Even though she's great on the fucking mic and she can hit her bullet points, there's a disconnect. Which screams that she should be a fucking heel. So I agree with you. I don't have the answer for that other than she should have been a heel a long time ago. She should have never went face. But can I just bring up what I was talking about earlier too about Becky Lynch and how WWE fucked up Becky Lynch because they made her the underdog. And on top of that, they liked her. So making her the heel and not Charlotte was a botch in booking. It was a booking botch. But I just want to bring up something that was over on, if I can, I know I've been sticking to YouTube questions, but over on, or was that Twitter? Maybe it was back on YouTube. Maybe it wasn't Twitter. But Asmir, they put BC. The fans like Becky being the heel, just like the fans would like Sasha being the heel. No matter what they do, the fans are going to love them the way they are. So Asmir brings up a good point because we always say turn Sasha heel. And you guys know I love Sasha. So when Sasha comes out, am I just going to go ballistic over Sasha? No, the thing is this, you're wrong, Asmir. You're absolutely wrong. Yes, we love Becky. Yes, we love Sasha. We want them heel because that's where we know we're gonna see their best work. That's where they're gonna be the most ruthless. If WWE is catering to that casual and that mainstream crowd, and they really, really want to pull the intrigue out of the diehard crowd, when you turn these superstars heel, you go what I call full throttle. You can't go half-ass like they're doing with Elias, or half-ass like they did with Becky Lynch. You go full throttle. And a big part of that is when you insult and even bully your audience. If Sasha Banks turns heel and she literally starts picking on every motherfucker that's clapping for her, ripping them apart, not just the town. Say they're in Toronto. You don't go out there and just diss Toronto. You start picking people out of the fucking crowd. You be ruthless. That's what made Jericho one of the best heels in the fucking business. He would taunt the motherfucker. He would make people cry in the front row. Now, I know, PG, you can't really go that far. But you can go right to that fucking line. You can toe that line. And even once in a while, dip your fucking toe across that line. A true heel will know how to be a true fucking heel and get that real true heel heat. You're not just flipping Sasha Banks or flipping Becky and we're all gonna love her. That's what they did with Becky because it was a half-ass heel job. And they made her the underdog anyway, and people loved Becky. But Becky didn't go out there and really drive home the fact that she's a heel. Sasha Banks, you look at what she did in NXT. That's a heel. She made you want to hate her. You hated her so much because she was so damn good, you actually did love her. But that character, when she came out, you still wanted to see that ass whooped. I'm telling you, the crowd will follow suit if the character is that damn good as such character. If a good heel is a great heel is going to be a damn good heel. Stick with me here. A character knows what they're doing. That's what I mean about natural born ability and talent. Some people are just born for this business. Some people are naturally born to be a heel. They just thrive. Sasha, I know, is that character. The confidence is just there. Becky Lynch, she could be that. She just won't be given that opportunity. The fans cheer for her way too full throttle off the gate, and in doing such, I don't know if Vince is going to let her go full throttle now. Now it looks like Becky and Charlotte are just going to have a best friends feud, and then Becky will go face again. Doesn't even look like they're going full throttle with her. So I just wanted to clear that up. Everyone's like, yeah, but BC, if Sasha goes heel, then she's still just a face. No, if they play it, that's what I mean about Roman going fucking heel. And everyone goes, even Triple H said, yeah, but this is an actual quote from Triple H at an NXT conference call for NXT TakeOver. I believe, what was that? Fucking wherever they were last time. SummerSlam, Brooklyn, right here in New York. And then Triple H had the balls to say, yeah, we don't turn Roman heel because even if we do, then he's just going to be a face. Then they're going to cheer for him. Not if you do it right, motherfucker. Since when did we start doing things half-ass in WWE? It seems the last 15 years, everything is just done half-ass. If I'm in creative and you tell me you want somebody to get booed, you're turning somebody heel and you need me to get them over as far as a heel. Right? You need me to get that heel heat on them. I'm going to give you that heel heat. If Roman turns heel, I'm going to make sure he's getting a course of boos. Right now, he's just getting boos like, we don't even want to see this guy. I can get you the boos like, fuck, this guy's a dastardly deeded heel. He's got fucking evil seeds planted in this motherfucker's head, and he's going full throttle heel. He's going to put fucking sledgehammers in people's fucking skulls. We want to see this motherfucker get beat up. We want to see the hero defeat the villain. Roman goes out and he starts fucking targeting his audience and fucking bullying them, picking on them, calling them out. The boos would be astounding, man. And yes, eventually he'll be so good as a heel that we will start cheering that shit. And when he turns back to a face, he will finally be a face that Vince wanted all along because Vince went through the process first. Vince listened to the fans and we just wanted to see Roman as a heel because that's going to bring out his best ability. The only way Roman reaches his full potential is once he turns a heel, because then and only then will he tap into his full potential. If he never goes full throttle heel, we'll never quite know what Roman was fully capable of, but more importantly, Roman will never know fully what Roman was fully capable of. Keeping track? So I wanted to touch up on Asmir's comment there. No, if you're turning Sasha heel, if you do it correctly, she'll get the fucking boos, and it'll be the right type of boos. So, anyway, the whole point of that question was started off with Christopher, and you're right, Charlotte just doesn't work as a face. It just doesn't. So, that's WWE's fault first. That's got nothing to do with Charlotte, just a disconnect. It's Vince and WWE's fault by now they should know this. It failed the first time, it's going to fail the second time, it'll fail the 50th time. She's a natural born heel, let her be such. She calls herself the fucking queen. I mean, anybody who calls themselves a fucking queen is just asking to get fucking booed out of the building. Ric Flair's daughter. She comes from fucking wrestling royalty. She wears these elaborate gowns. She's beating people like Asuka and taking the undefeated streak. She takes the fucking title from Becky Lynch, the underdog at SummerSlam. Takes it from Carmella, but everyone thought it should have been Becky Lynch's. She wins all these matches that fans wanted to see somebody else win. Of course they're going to boo the shit out of her. She's a natural born heel, and even if she wasn't, you booked her that way. You book her in these ways, and then you expect people to cheer her? Come on. You're setting her up for failure. Quick shout out. This isn't really a question. Amanda, over on YouTube. Too sick to think of a question for Q&A. Sorry, BC. And I just started school. It's like the third week. Fucking down and out face. Pouty face. But hope this makes Q&A anyways. Keep up with the awesome video. Much love and respect. Thank you, Amanda. And even though you didn't have a question, this did make the video because I want to wish you the very best and speediest recovery. I hope you're feeling better right now, and I hope you continue to feel better and even better than better starting tomorrow. And hopefully your next week of school is better than the previous 3 weeks. So Amanda, I know you've been with the channel for a long time, so I don't like hearing that you're under the weather. So get back over the weather. Nothing but the best and a speedy recovery, Amanda. Michael, hey BC, a question for Q&A. Do you think WWE is going to give a spot for Jeff Hardy to do a swanton off the cell at Hell in a Cell? If you ask me, that would kind of be too risky. When Shane did that, it was scary. Just imagine Jeff doing that spot. That can go left real quickly. As always, much love and respect. Been a fan since day one. Thank you, Michael. Love and respect back to you. You're damn right. This whole Hell in a Cell is going to revolve around one huge spot by Jeff Hardy. I fully expect to see a swanton bomb from the top of the cell, and Jeff Hardy is going to fly like he has never flied before. I told you guys a while back, Jeff Hardy wanted nothing more than a Hell in a Cell match with The Undertaker. Obviously, Vince was not going to set that up. Undertaker only has a few matches left in him, and Vince was not going to give Jeff Hardy one of those matches, especially Hell in a Cell. But this is probably the next best thing for Jeff Hardy. I honestly think his career is winding down. I think he's got 1 to 2 more good years left in him. At any moment, he could retire. Could be after Hell in a Cell. I think this is his big swan song. No pun intended with the Swanton Bomb. But I believe this is his swan song. I believe this is one of his last big final moments in pro wrestling. And it's going to be inside Hell in a Cell against a legend like Randy Orton, because Orton is already a legend. It's hard to think about that. I still remember him as the Legend Killer, but even if Randy Orton retired tomorrow, he'll go down as a legend, man. And I think Jeff Hardy going in there with Randy Orton inside Hell in a Cell, I don't think there's any question that Jeff Hardy is gonna do one huge flying maneuver that's gonna captivate us and at the same time fucking make us cringe. Because we're going to hope he's okay. But you know Jeff Hardy's going to do something fucking just off the wall. The SF Jammer. Hey BC, this is for Q&A. SmackDown 1000 is going to be in Washington, D.C. I'm getting all choked up here, man. We must be almost hitting an hour, huh? Do you think WWE will reach out to Batista to return and show up in his hometown for the big event? And do you think The Rock or any other past SmackDown stars make a return in appearance? I think everybody has to show up. I think it's all hands on deck. I think The Rock has to at least make a video package. I would love to see Stone Cold. I would love to see all those people from the very first SmackDown. From Mick Foley to Ken fucking Shamrock. Everybody has to show up. All hands on deck. You really have to show Fox that they invested in something huge. And this is a real ratings draw. The 1000th episode, all hands on deck. Fabricio for Q&A. Hey BC, will you ever consider having 2.0 as your tag team partner? Much love and respect. Much love and respect back to you. And no, I will never have 2.0 as my tag team partner because that motherfucker is even more crazier than I am. I'm all set. Let's go over to Tony, BC, always brings the truth about WWE. Thumbs up. Thank you, Tony. Much appreciated. For Q&A, do you see Kevin Owens ending up with the Money in the Bank briefcase since it was never cashed in? You guys know, when Braun Strowman gave that briefcase to Baron Corbin, Baron just had a smile on his face. That was never actually cashed in. I honestly think Baron Corbin this Monday is going to say, Braun, I was going to make that match anyway at Hell in a Cell against you and Roman. So, this is still a live briefcase. I think Baron Corbin might take the briefcase. Or he might hold a tournament and say, look, this is why I should be the acting GM from here on out, because I'm making epic decisions like this. Or maybe he gives it to Kevin Owens. Who the fuck knows? But I do think that briefcase is still active. I do not think that was an actual fucking cash-in. Like, here's the briefcase, I'm cashing in at Hell in a Cell. I think Baron's going to say, no, I was going to make that match anyway. And you gave this briefcase to me, your lunchbox. So, you can't take it back now, motherfucker. It's in my possession. Another shout out. This isn't actually a question, but a little bit of a shout out. BTS Jaimin J-Hope. I don't know if that's a person in the name, but I know there's a BTS like group. I don't know anything about them, so maybe that's in reference to them. So I apologize to the BTS nation out there. But BTS Jaimin J Hope says, I came home from school just to watch BC vids. That's badass. Thank you, BTS. You fucking rock. Anise! Hey, BC, can you give your thoughts on Neville's situation now? If he really is out of WWE now, where should he go? I said previously that he should go to Impact and do something cool with Austin Aries. But he's valuable. If he goes anywhere, much love and respect. Thank you, Anise. Much love and respect back to you. I will say this. He is a big talent. But he came from cruiserweight division. I don't think mainstream-wise he's got as much chutzpah in stock in his character as people think he does. I mean, I can take Neville or leave Neville. I really don't care about Neville. I really don't. I mean, yes, he was a good talent. Yes, he should have gone farther than maybe he did on the roster and way more than just the cruiserweight division. But I really don't care. If he goes to TNA and he feuds with Austin Aries, all that is a bootleg edition of what we've already seen on the main roster. Just now in TNA. Maybe they could do more with them in TNA, absolutely, but that's all it is. Austin Aries versus Neville is something I've already seen on the main roster. That's a B-level, maybe even C-level company like TNA. No offense, TNA, but that's what they are right now. Until they hire the Amplified Man as an on-air talent or in their creative department, they're just going to be a C-rated company. So I have two former WWE talents facing each other in a C-rated company. That's all it is for me. But Neville can definitely be something. As far as his first move, if he's no longer with WWE under contract, which it doesn't look like he is anymore, he should show up September 1st in Chicago to All In. I don't give a fuck how he shows up, either in an impromptu match or just says hello. But he should definitely show up to All In. And then, yeah, I think TNA would be the only other stop for him. I think he would fit perfect in something like Lucha Underground for a little bit. But wherever he goes, hopefully he goes somewhere where he's just fucking happy, right? That's all that matters. Let's go Highlights Forever. Hey, BC, love your work, your enthusiasm, and what you do. Thank you, Highlights Forever. This is for Q&A. How would you bring back Nia Jax? Whether it was Raw or SmackDown, it seems like they have nothing for her. Yeah, she's just a victim of 50-50 booking and even worse. She'll have a couple jobber matches making her look dominant, and then they just have her fucking in irrelevancy. Then they have her taking on and looking good against actual superstars. Bayley 1 week, Mickie James 1 week, and then all of a sudden she's losing 3 matches in a row. Then she's a heel, then she's a face, then she's a heel. Nobody knows with this woman. They just botched her from the beginning, like they do most talents. When she returns, you just have her taking on jobber after jobber, build her up as a powerhouse. Then you can have her and start feeding her superstars. But she needs to be a dominant powerhouse because that's what she is. But she also has to bring the utmost passion and desire in work ethic to the ring. If she's lazy in any of those areas, then she shouldn't be there. It's like Tamina Snuka. How Tamina Snuka still has a job on the main roster is beyond me. And she's got passionate fans too. Tamina, can't wait till she comes back. She's the best. No, she was one of the worst pro wrestlers I've ever seen. Yet Tamina is still somehow on the main roster. She's still getting those paychecks. If Nia Jax does not bring it, because you can't totally just blame booking, because I see a lot of laziness a lot of times. If she doesn't fully bring it, then get the fuck out of the ring. But if she brings it, and she's captivating us, and booking is just fucking with her, then there's some serious changes that need to be fucking made. Because they are turning her into an absolute joke when she should be a monster. But if she comes back with that lazy bullshit, then she needs to show herself the door. We'll see, man. But if she comes back full throttle and she's ready to bring it and there is zero laziness, just passion and desire, then they need to book her as a monster. Tyler 6, Q&A question BC. Do you think a pairing with Sasha Banks and Paul Heyman would work well together? And as a side note, how badass would AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Daniel Bryan, and Kurt Angle in a fatal 4-way match be? Much love and respect to you and everyone else in the Amplified unit. Thank you, Tyler 6, and I can speak for everybody in the unit when we say much love and respect right back to you. Before I get to your question, I concur. Angle, Bryan, Joe, and Styles would be an amazing Fatal 4-Way match. And I'm not even a fan of schmaz matches. But you put those four in the ring, I'm sold. Take my money. As far as your Q&A question, Sasha Banks and Paul Heyman would be absolute legit badass. I always say Sasha Banks isn't the best on the mic anyway. I always also said, though, that Paul Heyman should be with larger-than-life individuals. Like a beast like Brock or a monster like Braun. I can see Paul Heyman being the weasel to them, because that's what Paul Heyman is. That character is a weasel. So he needs to be with larger-than-life motherfuckers. So Paul Heyman can talk a lot of shit and then hide behind his monster or hide behind his beast. With Sasha Banks, though, it would be a cool dynamic. Because as much as he's an advocate, he could also be like Zelina Vega is to Cien Almas and be like a business advisor. He could be all that type of shit for the boss. So Sasha Banks, almost not as cringeworthy as like Carmella bossing Ellsworth around, but you could see a lot of that too. Like the boss Sasha Banks is kind of always getting upset with Paul Heyman, and he's not doing the work as Sasha Banks thinks he should be doing. It's not up to Sasha's par. So Paul Heyman has to work double time for the boss. And the interesting dynamic here is you got this weasel weaseling his way into matches, into circumstances and situations for a female. But the boss can back it up. Just like Brock could back it up. I don't know. I think hopefully that makes sense. I just think it's a badass pairing. Man, they would just work so well together. And just the knowledge that Paul Heyman can give to Sasha and the chemistry that they have together, that would just be badass. So Tyler 6, I'm all down for that. That would be interesting. Gaz, Yo BC, huge fan from the UK. And I've been a subscriber since your early videos. Thank you, Gaz. I really fucking appreciate that. Hope this question makes Q&A. Will you be watching Cody and the Young Bucks event All In? If you do, will you do a review of the event? Much respect, man. Keep up the entertaining videos. Again, thank you. I will not be watching All In live. I'll actually be out of state this whole weekend. So I won't be watching live, but I do have a plan set in motion that hopefully by Sunday night, I will be catching the event. I will not be looking online or viewing my social media for any spoilers, so don't try to spoil it, because I ain't gonna look. But I will watch it, just not live. As far as the review, I will not be, guys. Just like NXT, All In is gonna be huge for the indie marks, as we call us, right? That's what we are. We're smarks. We're smart fans. We're indie marks is what they call us, even though I'm a WWE guy. But people still call me an indie mark because I know all about all the independent scenes and all the indie wrestlers, and I watch more than just WWE, so I'm a diehard indie mark. Whatever you want to call me, that's cool. That just means I'm a fucking smart wrestling fan. But just like NXT, All In and ROH, all of those, they have a smaller fan base. They just do. And because of that, a smaller YouTube channel like myself, you know, I call myself the ECW of YouTube channels, right? YouTube doesn't really like my channel because we do swear and we do fucking put some controversial content out there. So they won't really push this channel. But or should I say, because of that, you know, do I really spend my time reviewing a product that not a lot of people know about, or at least know too much about? Hopefully that makes sense. The answer is no. Not enough people know about these companies. And I'm talking ROH. All In isn't even really it's just a bunch of wrestlers coming together. So it's just not a big enough audience. Hopefully you guys can understand. I know there's a lot of you guys out there that are like, but I want it. And there's at least a few hundred and maybe even 1,000, maybe 2. But I don't know. It's not big enough to spend the time on yet. Hopefully it becomes big enough. Hopefully enough of you guys one day will want these type of reviews. But I don't know, much bigger channels than mine have tried reviewing NXT and ROH and TNA, and it doesn't do as good. I mean, some of the videos do decent, but not as good. I don't know, guys. It's a touchy subject. I would love to, because I know I would love to do it, and this channel was based on just putting out content that I love to do, but I don't want to blur the lines for my audience. I know a lot of audience just knows a lot about WWE and superstars that are coming into WWE and things like that. I don't want to just start making whole videos about things that people don't know about. As it is, once in a while I'll do takeover reviews and reactions. And even then, when I do them, I get comments like, oh, who is this? And is this guy going to come to the, and it's all these questions. And I'm like, how do you not know who Velveteen Dream is? So I'd rather not deal with that because I don't want to get upset. So, that's kind of a long answer to what should have been a short answer. But no, I will not be reviewing All In. That is a definite hard no. I will not be watching it live. That is a definite hard no. But I will hopefully be catching it this weekend, at the tail end of the weekend. Chauncey, hey BC, great video for this past Monday's Raw review and reaction. Of course, he puts in parentheses. Thank you. Much appreciated, Chauncey. Do you think that they have Ronda break Alexa's arm at Hell in a Cell? And if so, will they then have Sasha go up against Trish at Evolution? Alexa was hyping the fact that she didn't break her arm and that she's cleared to wrestle. So Chauncey's basically saying Alexa's trying to make it look like, hey, you didn't get the job done, bitch. You ain't gonna break my arm. And then all of a sudden, at Hell in a Cell, does Ronda Rousey finally get the job done and break Alexa's arm? And what Chauncey is asking is, if that does happen, does Sasha Banks take her place? And it's gonna be Sasha and Ronda at Evolution. And my answer to you, Chauncey, is 100%, 1,000%, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000% never gonna happen. Vince will never, ever put Sasha Banks in there with Ronda Rousey at such a big event like Evolution. Vince doesn't look at Sasha like we look at Sasha. We would love to see that match. That's the furthest thing and furthest match from Vince McMahon's mind. Unfortunately, if Alexa is incapable of taking on Ronda at Evolution, you're probably gonna see fucking Foxy get in there. Fucking a Natalia turn and Natalia versus Ronda. But you won't see somebody like fucking Sasha because we want that too much. Vince will never give us that. Let's end this, guys. We're going roughly an hour, if not over an hour by now, so I gotta get the fuck out. Let's end it on a fun note. Isaiah, how the hell do you grow a beard that fast, BC? Motherfucker, I'm just good like that. Shit, I've been shaving since like the junior high. So this shit, I can shave and the next day I already got my fucking 5 o'clock shadow going. And there was a poll done a long time ago. They were asking females, what's your sexiest look on a guy for facial hair? And the number one choice on this poll was like scruff. Like a little more than a 5 o'clock shadow. Just fucking scruff. Ladies went wild for scruff. So I get the best of both worlds, man. Because when I shave, I can get that scruff in like 24 hours. And for the next 2 to 3 days, I got that fucking scruff. And if I want, I can just repeat that process. I know a lot of dudes are not like that. A lot of guys can't grow in a beard that quick. A lot of guys I know can't even grow a fucking beard periodly. Periodly? I can speak. Again, we're going an hour here, guys. I'm fucking starting to botch. But a lot of guys, if we're talking botching, they can't even grow a beard. So not even does it take them a long time. They like have patches. So they have like a little bit of a beard, but there's like patches. Or they can't connect the mustache and the fucking goatee. Sucks for them, man, you know what I mean? Because I can get the best of any world I want with the facial hair. I can get the full beard. I can have just a badass goatee, shave the sideburns. I could do the Hogan stash if I wanted to, but I can always have that scruff. Or I could just be clean shaven every fucking morning. But I've been shaving since the junior high. Who was that? Isaiah. So that's why when you're shaving that long, it can grow in pretty fucking fast. So, yeah. That's the secret behind my beard success. That's it, guys. Thank you for joining me for this week's awesome Q&A video session. It's been a wonderful fucking hour for me talking pro wrestling with you. I hope you guys enjoyed it just as much as I did. If so, you know the routine. Smash the motherfucking like button, but also subscribe. Just don't type in BC Amplified. Subscribe, please. Add yourself to the actual unit and don't be just a fucking creepy stalker who just types my name in over your bowl of cereal and orange juice every morning. And also, share the videos, get BC's name out there because YouTube doesn't want to share my shit. YouTube doesn't want to promote my shit. They want me in obscurity. They want me to stay as the ECW fucking branded YouTube channel because I'm too controversial. Fuck that and fuck you, YouTube. I'm gonna go big because of my unit. You don't have to promote me. My unit will. And that's all I fucking need, baby. And we'll go right to the fucking top. And if I explode big enough, I promise you guys, I will take over WWE's creative department and we'll start putting WWE and pro wrestling back on the map the way it should have been for the last 15 years. That's it. We shut up now. And we get those amplified size coffees and we kick some amplified ass. Be on the lookout for a bonus amplified question. It's much more lighthearted. It's a little bit of fun. No more than 15 minutes long-ish, but be on the lookout. It's going to be up within the next 12 hours, hopefully. It's a little bonus video, so be on the lookout. I'm shutting the fuck up, guys. I think I just lost my voice in this hour. Amplified, man. Check you later.